What is going on, Internet? Eric Banholtz here, host of E-commerce Conversations, put on by Practical E-commerce. Today's webinar is the 7 steps to checkout success, and it's been sponsored by Loqate. You guys know Loqate as an advanced software for capturing, verifying, and enriching address data globally. They have a type-ahead address capture technology, which improves the data quality from the moment it's entered, removing friction from the e-commerce checkout experience while improving deliverability rates. Loqate is trusted by thousands of retailers worldwide, including major players like Nike, Gymshark, and Sephora. Head over to loqate.com to learn more. Again, that's Loqate.com. Our presenter is Michelle Moses, Loqate's enterprise sales leader. She works with both big and small global retailers to improve the ease, speed, and convenience of their online transactions. Thanks for watching, and here's Michelle.
Thank you, Eric, for that introduction, and thank you all for being here today. Today, we'll be talking about e-commerce checkout experiences, that last hurdle before the visitors you and your marketing teams have worked so hard to get to your site finally turn to customers. We'll talk about how to make those crucial moments as successful as possible, not only for you as a retailer, but also for your customers. I have 7 tips for you today to consider when designing or optimizing your checkout experience. These steps have come from industry research, firsthand feedback from retailers, and a few anecdotes of my own as a seasoned online shopper. A quick preview of what we'll cover today, just to give you a little bit of a map of the content that we'll be going through. There's 7 steps, as I mentioned, or 7 suggestions. First and foremost, number 1, keep it simple. We'll talk about how offering paths such as guest checkout and multiple payment options for your customers can actually reduce friction instead of creating more. We'll talk about the value of trust signals. Remember, people buy from people and brands that they trust. We'll touch on the importance of quick and reliable delivery. And lastly, we'll round it out with a quick discussion on how data validation can be used to streamline the experience and save you operational expense and headache. All right, without further ado, we'll get into step number 1, which I think is foundational to the rest of the content, and that is keep it simple. This is the classic KISS methodology, and it definitely applies here. Keep it simple. Simplify the experience. One way to accomplish this in a checkout flow is to break the process up into smaller chunks, which allows your customers to take and tackle really one step at a time. Allowing folks to tackle small steps one at a time makes it easier for them to concentrate, gives a sense of progression, and reduces mobile scrolling, which can lead to fatigue and abandonment. When you're designing your checkout experience, you want to set the expectation that from the very beginning, that this will be a simple, perhaps even delightful journey for your customers. One idea is a progress indicator. That's a nice way to visually guide a user through the process from start to finish. It's kind of like showing the light at the end of the tunnel so you can see it as you're going through. It builds that confidence, again, that we're making progress through the flow. It's also critical to consider mobile when designing checkout experiences. We all know mobile is here. It's not coming. It's not, a new thing. It's been around, but mobile experiences for checkout really are different than desktop, and they should be treated as such. Patience is honestly at its worst when customers are transacting on mobile. So consider optimizations such as having an input field launch a keyboard that's optimized for the content that you're entering. So for example, card numbers, launch a keyboard that's just numbers. Phone numbers, same thing. Email addresses could have obviously a mix of letters and numbers, but launching the appropriate keyboard within the checkout flow can again make it more simple to enter the information you're asking for. It's a small detail, it's often missed, can cause friction and errors. So just an idea to throw out there. So again, wrapping up step 1, keep it simple. This is, again, something we'll talk about throughout the session today and is a great place to have your mindset when you're thinking about how do I make an experience in the checkout that a user is really going to prefer and have success with. All right, on to step number 2, guest checkout. This one can be a bit controversial. We all know the value in better understanding your customer and capturing a logged in user's behaviors, purchases, preferences. That is very, very valuable information. However, there's really a time and a place for guest checkout in all shoppers' journeys. And a prominent guest checkout option, again, option, benefits all customers, not just one-time shoppers. And this is because research tells us that having to register before you make a purchase is the second most common reason for cart abandonment, which we already know impacts 65 to 70+% of visitors to most e-commerce sites. So if we can reduce abandonment, even in the most minor of ways, it can have a huge impact on revenue. It's not uncommon for customers to forget their account details. I know I'm guilty of this. And in many cases, it's easier to check out as a guest than recover a password. Even if you detect that the guest has an account, try not to force them into logging in if you can avoid it. Perhaps offer a guest checkout after the purchase. So something like the ability to log in and register or link the purchase they've just made to an account. You can do this in a follow-up email with perhaps a compelling incentive to come back or an incentive to sign up. Many retailers do this successfully today. I think the biggest theme here is to remember that your customer knows best. And they really know what they need now to stay on track and buy. So what I need now to complete the purchase today may look very different from tomorrow when I'm sitting at my desk on my laptop and have some time and space to browse and take longer to go through that process. Your customer knows best what they need now to stay on track and buy. All right, tip number 3. Offer multiple payment options. This is an interesting one. So globally, there are over 200 payment methods available to shoppers, from credit cards to bank transfers, direct debit, digital wallets, which we'll talk about digital wallets here more in a second, digital currencies, and specific locally preferred payment options. So there's a lot of choice. It can be a bit overwhelming, but it's important to consider the preferences of your particular shopper when making decisions of what to show and what not to show. For example, buy now, pay later is popular with a younger demographic. So if that's your shopper, you've probably learned, the benefits of buy now, pay later as a payment option. So really important to understand who your shopper is and tailor a curated variety of relevant options available to your customers. Will pay off dividends. So that gives your customers choice in how they pay. Choice is everywhere. It's a part of our expectations as shoppers, but these choices will fit both their convenience, the convenience factor, but also eliminate some friction in the payment process. So back to digital wallets. It's no surprise to anyone on this call, but the use of digital wallets has increased exponentially in recent years. They account for 49% of global e-commerce sales, and by 2026, which is not that far away, an estimated 5.2 billion shoppers will use digital wallets. They are, by sheer volume and the numbers I just mentioned alone, an important and necessary offering, especially for folks who are looking for a speedy way to convert, mobile by far being the most common use case. I am an avid Apple Pay user, for example, just based on the convenience in mobile, but there are risks that need to be considered when building out your processes for digital wallets. And what I mean by that is the risk of bad data or poor data quality making its way into your order flow through the use of digital wallets. Digital wallets by design bypass the requirement for customers to enter address data live. So you really are reliant on customers keeping their details up to date within the wallet. And customers don't always do that. Two examples come to mind: movers and givers. So over 20% of folks move house each year. Many folks have multiple residences. That's, of course, more common after the pandemic. And digital wallets, so that's one case. And digital wallets are also not as friendly to saving one-off addresses when shipping a gift, for example, to a loved one or a friend. Movers and givers, two very good examples of instances where data would be out of date. You're also completely reliant on the user's understanding of postal formats, requirements from the carrier, etc. So to summarize here, you need to offer payment options. It's really becoming table stakes within the e-commerce world, but do be careful of some of the downstream data considerations as you bring on certain types of payments, and just make sure to bake that into the consideration. Step 4, moving along, trust. This is one of my favorites. So again, we talked about people buy from people and brands that they trust, and that could not be more true in online shopping. So include trust signals. When a customer or a potential customer parts with his or her money, I know this is true for me, they need assurance, no matter how big or small the purchase. Throughout the journey, from browsing products to payment and aftercare, include signals of both social and accredited trust within the design. Prove your credentials. Many sites and apps really neglect to include those meaningful indicators of security throughout their checkout. Again, if you've done the work to get these credentials, and many of you have or are considering them within your business, showcase them. Let them do their job. SSL certificates and third-party validation, they can seem like clutter, but they really act as a powerful indicator of trust when used meaningfully along the journey. And in that same note, transparency really does matter. Due to a high number of fake reviews online, there's so much clutter. Customers have become, I'm not sure if cynical is the right word, but they have a really critical lens for how to view sites that only display glowing reviews. Feature your reviews honestly. When you have some critical feedback, reply fairly and give visibility to that in a way that builds credibility amongst your reviews and gets folks to rethink and change the lens that they use to look at your reviews to build that trust. And lastly, showcase strong aftercare. I know for me as a shopper, this is the one that really goes the extra mile in building trust. A really strong indicator of trust is the perception that I will be taken care of post-purchase. No one likes to feel like they've been left in the dark after they hit confirm purchase and no one's ever going to help them again. You've likely invested heavily in customer care in some capacity, so use it to your advantage and showcase it. Clear links to customer service pages, help center, maybe a chat feature if you have it, and unhidden pages on your returns and general terms and conditions will really show that you value the entire customer experience from checkout and first purchase all the way through being taken care of after the fact. So again, in summary, trust. People buy from people and brands that they trust. Remember that throughout the process. A little goes a long way. Excuse me. Step 5, and I'll keep this one short and sweet. Don't be greedy. Only ask for the information that you really need in the checkout process. Reduce the cognitive load on your customers by keeping your forms as short as possible. Each extra step may result in a specific audience. Again, every audience is different. but a specific audience delaying or abandoning the order altogether. Every additional input field that we add in that checkout flow reduces the chances of conversion by 26% per field, which is powerful and adds up quickly. So again, I'll keep this one short and sweet, but in summary, don't be greedy, only ask for what you need. Number 6, delivery. This one is interesting because we've all seen the evolution of delivery with the start of 2-day delivery that Amazon introduced in 2005. So if we all just close our eyes for a moment and think back to 2005, We Belong Together by Mariah Carey was topping the Billboard charts, great song, and Amazon was first rolling out the free 2-day delivery for Prime members. As we all know, that shopping experience changed the way that all online retail happened from that point forward. Logistics became a key differentiator, and customers were delighted by this rapid, low-cost delivery. It shifted the whole mindset of how we shop online. Fast forward to today, that 2-day delivery window honestly feels outdated as shoppers have started to really embrace the rapid delivery trend of same-day delivery, next-day delivery, 2-hour delivery, where orders are fulfilled almost immediately after customers complete the purchase. Brands like Sephora and Target have really led the way here and are doing a great job offering 2-hour delivery. There are platforms like Shipt and Instacart that offer same-day delivery from your favorite stores and brands. Some of you may be using those platforms to offer rapid delivery to your customers, and I think it's a good idea if you can. Rapid delivery has really moved from the perception of an unexpected delight to really the expected norm. And it's important to be prepared for this change as you design your checkout experience. If you have buy online, pick up in store capabilities as an organization, consider more prominently messaging that capability within your checkout. It can feed that desire and need for quick fulfillment in a different way. Also, going back to tip number 4, around trust and transparency. Transparency of the actual delivery times is key here, especially as we get closer to peak holiday time periods where a high volume of folks are going to want packages by a certain timeline, Christmas, for example. I know this delivery can be a tough topic. It involves so many different pieces of the puzzle and different groups within your organization, but I encourage you to keep this top of mind as you have strategy sessions within your organization and are thinking, 2024 and beyond. All right, number 7, last but not least, this step is close to my heart as a data gal, and it's one that can often be overlooked. It's not as flashy as other features, but it's critical to building a strong foundation and improving UX. And that's the use of real-time data validation in checkout. Helping folks seamlessly enter address, email, phone information has major real-time UX and cost implications to your business. Customers, they expect for you to predict their every move. So using things like an address autofill solution can help take the onus off the user for entering a perfectly formatted, perfectly spelled, perfectly spaced address and can help, again, reduce some of that friction. So here's how it works. And you've probably experienced this as shoppers. Once a customer gets to that final address entry field in checkout and starts typing an address, a address verification solution like Loqate can immediately provide validated suggestions to auto-complete the information in as few as 3 or 4 keystrokes. So when we think about frictionless, that's as frictionless as it gets. The solutions should then complete the information in the proper format per the local postal authority requirements and present complete information. So that includes sub-premise data, which would be apartments, suite numbers, etc. That's the number one most frequently missed piece of data in the address form and is critical to delivering a package completely. You'll also want to consider a provider that has appropriate global coverage to support your business needs and can surface all those pieces of data that we mentioned, the sub-premise, potentially different languages and character sets if you need it in your business. And if you need support on various postal certifications like CAS, for example, in the US, that may be required from your carrier. So those are some things to consider if you're adding this into your checkout. You can also take it a step further and do the address validation in a single line. So give your customers one single search field to add in an address, very similar to all of the search engines that we are used to using today. Nike and Nordstrom do a really nice job of this. It's a single line. You start to enter your address and everything pre-fills rather than a longer, more traditional address entry. Again, we're only asking for information that we need and we're keeping it simple. Something to consider. Lastly, there are downstream implications of validated data. Getting a valid shipping address the very first time prevents things like costly failed deliveries, missing items, postal carrier chargebacks, which can be up to $17 for an incorrect or poorly formatted address. And then all the operational expenses of customer care to handle your frustrated customers, etc. In short, tip number 7, use tools to autofill and validate customer information in real time. Fat fingers are real, especially on mobile, and customers are not always forgiving when their package doesn't arrive due to an addressing error. All right, to piggyback off of the topic of data validation, I'd like to take a quick moment to introduce you to Loqate and what we do to help e-commerce retailers like yourself solve the challenges of wanting a speedy checkout experience while also balancing it with the downstream impact of poor address data like we just spoke about. Loqate has curated the most comprehensive address data in the world. We understand local formats, standards, and nuances globally so that you and your customers don't have to. Our solutions capture, verify, and enrich address, email, and phone data in real time, which helps our retail partners reduce data entry time and checkout by 78% and increase address verification accuracy by up to 47%. We enable brands to build the highest confidence possible in your location data to help you better engage with your customers. That's at the end of the day what we do. Our technology is deployed at speed and scale anywhere. And we are proud to be trusted by over 18,000 of the world's best brands and retailers, processing over 50 million transactions per day. I hope you all found something from our discussion today that you can take back and apply at your own organizations to continue to develop great experiences for your customers, which I know you're doing today. Just quickly recapping on what we discussed. Customers first. This is the bit, if you take nothing else away from today, it's all about making it easy and enjoyable for your customers to do business with you. Keep it simple. Remember the KISS methodology. Only ask for what you need. Offer guest checkout for those who aren't in the right time or place to sign in. Provide options for payment type and for delivery. Focus on building trust. And near and dear to my heart, use autofill and data validation to ensure frictionless UX and to prevent downstream data issues. Thank you again for your time today. It's been great spending it with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks, Michelle, for that wonderful webinar. And thanks again to Loqate for sponsoring this event. Remember to download the ebook that complements this presentation. We'll see you again next time.